What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Game On Improve Your Health podcast. My name is Austin J, or hallucinodream if you know me from the gaming community. And tonight I am being joined once again by my co-host and lovely wife, Christina. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. You can
Your
stop
pleasure.
I know. You can stop
Your
saying
pleasure.
my pleasure. You can stop saying thank you
I'm
for
going
joining
to announce, I'm going to thank you for joining us every week.
Great.
This week is a follow-up and question and answers to our last episode, which was about cortisol, stress, and ways to help manage it. So we're just going to first kick off with the questions, then we'll go do our follow-up, of course, if we have missed anything. So the first question that we got is, I get stressed at work, right? And what are tips for managing stress at work while you're at work? So that was the first question we got. And I'll let Christina take this one off.
Well, I mean, really it just depends, I guess, kind of like what work environment you're in. But always like a good tip for me is, like I work in an office most of the time. So, for me, just like taking 5 minutes to like walk outside and get like a breather, or to go like grab a drink, or just like not an alcoholic drink, just like water or something. An alcoholic drink might also relieve your stress too, but not during the work hours.
We don't condone that kind of drink.
Exactly.
Also a good disclaimer, go get a drink, but not alcoholic.
Yeah. So just like taking a couple minutes to myself helps, like just leaving my phone at my desk and just like walking outside. Like I tend to just like walk around like our building, so like I'll just go outside and I'll maybe like grab a drink and I'll just take like the long way around our building just so I can kind of get some fresh air, and then kind of get back into the office. So that's really like my biggest, like just really taking a minute to yourself. So whether it's, I know we talked about like meditative breathing. So like maybe you go sit in your car on your break and you meditate for 10 minutes, like really, or go outside for 10 minutes and meditate or breathe or whatever, really whatever works for you.
Yeah. The workspace is going to be different from obviously other jobs. Like I worked physical labor, my last job, which in heating and air conditioning, and I drove around a van all day. So I wasn't able to grab a water and walk around the office or walk out of the office to escape it. My office was the van.
Yeah.
So if I was mad at the van or stressed out,
or like, right, if you were mad at like a customer or something, like if you had like a really stressful job or customer, it's not like you can like storm out of their house and like just like, I need a water, and just start walking around their house.
That's right. You can't. You shouldn't do that. You can.
Yeah, just like go into the refrigerator and start pacing around their house.
Yeah, that might get you in trouble.
Probably not the best, yeah.
But so what I would do, because I worked physical labor, and everybody's is going to be different, you just have to find what you can do at that specific job. Generally, between the two, we can categorize a lot of the different jobs anyway in our recommendations. But what I did and what I would do is, let's say I was having a bad day, a stressful day, mm-hmm. right? I would stop at a gas station, grab a water, and just take a breather, just stand outside. I didn't really put my phone down because you can't use your phone very often anyway. I don't talk to very many people, so I just go on my phone and see what was going on. A lot of people can browse social media. Mm-hmm. If you're one of those people who will get more stressed by going on your phone, just ignore the phone, right? Just go outside, enjoy the weather, regardless of if it's hot or cold. Just really, like Christina said, take some time to yourself. Yeah. Just, ignore work for a couple minutes. Don't exceed the, couple minute rule. Basically, you don't want to disappear for an hour. Yeah. And, or another thing I would do is, if it was around the time, I would schedule like when I was going to eat. Don't just eat. That'll cause worse habits, right? If you just continuously stress eat, you don't want to do that. But if it was closer to the time that I was going to eat, even if it was within 20, 25 minutes, I would just eat instead. Yeah. Right? So then I can enjoy the food, enjoy the snack that I have, and then continue my day after that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and like for me, like I talk to people all day long. So like I have like meetings and emails and like everything. So it's like if I like so that's why like for me it's important to just like leave my phone for a couple minutes because like guaranteed I will answer a text message, an email, a phone call, like something. So that's why like I just will leave my phone down for a couple minutes.
Yeah, so there's a couple tips for while you're actually at work. So, um,
And right now like it's I don't work from home most of the time and I'm not on like Zoom meetings and things like that all the time. So I can't say that it's easier in a sense, but you are now in your own environment. So you tend to have more stress relievers kind of at your, um, like,
leisure.
yeah, like disposal, I guess, so like you can walk into your own kitchen and make a cup of tea or like go get another cup of coffee or go get that water or just something like that. So maybe you have an animal, like maybe on your break, play with your animal, like that might help some relieve,
Make your animal
some
some tea.
stress. Exactly.
See if they like it.
Make them a snack. Don't stress eat yourself, but you can stress force feed your animals. It's
Yeah.
perfectly
We don't
fine.
condone that either. And you probably shouldn't eat the food you're probably going to eat anyway because they are your pet. Yeah, so those are some tips for, work. Even like Christina just touched on, for those of you who are working at home because that's what the pandemic has brought on a lot of people. So,
Or maybe you're a stay-at-home dad now, and maybe you could lock yourself in a closet for 2 minutes, like you do, and cry, and then you're better.
that's right. All right. Well, that was supposed to be confidential between us, and it only happened
Awkward.
twice. So, joke's on you. But yeah, so we'll wrap up that question there. Thank you for throwing me under the bus. And we're going to go on to the second question. Christina will ask that. Before we do that, let's acknowledge the people in chat because this is our question and answer. So for those who are watching on YouTube, yes, correct. I had to think about that for a second. And listening on the podcast platform, we are live on Twitch and YouTube. So we answer our chatters, right? So
If you guys have any questions,
if you guys have any questions who are here, by all means, this is a follow-up to our stress podcast. And Dallas and Notorious, hello, and welcome to the follow-up podcast. Again, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. We'll go ahead and do the second question, and then if you have any questions in regards to tips to help manage stress, we'll answer that. So kick off the second question, Christina.
all right. So the second question was really just about like how does stress kind of hinder your performance in working out, or I know we've mentioned gaming. So how does it like hinder your stress? I can't really talk about the gaming, so I'll leave that to you.
Oh, perfect. Like I'm some kind of gaming guy
Yeah,
who knows
exactly.
some stuff and things. Well, you could categorize both of them basically in the same. I mean,
You
as
could put
athletes,
them
you can put them in the
yeah.
same category. Okay, I was doing good for a while. Now I have just completely lost my mind. Right after you exposed my secrets to everybody. So yeah, you can categorize them both in the same category, which would be an athlete, right? So if you were gonna go ahead and we're gonna use a game that is technically competitive or can be competitive. So a lot of the games can turn into something competitive, and this will affect you playing socially as well. But a lot of games have the end goal of winning that game. So categorize yourself as an athlete. What will happen if you continuously are stressed and just building your cortisol? As we stated in the last episode, there are many things that go on in your body on a biological level that affect your body and your mind and, how your body functions and everything of the sort, when you raise your stress levels and when you're continuously stressed, some of which are elevated blood pressure, increased heart rate, which there are definitely some studies out there that I have read that state that your judgment is impaired when your heart is beating fast. Now, there are some other studies that say you're in fight or flight mode, right? So it's like survival mode, using air quotes there, where if your heart rate is elevated, you're going to make better decisions quicker, which isn't actually true most of the time, especially if your heart rate is elevated constantly, right? So your decision making is going to go down. Your cognitive function is going to likely start suffering because of everything else that's going on in the body. So lots of games are, especially the tactical ones, if you're playing one of those, and you need to make quick decisions and try to, basically determine where people are on a map, if that's the kind of game you're playing, you're going to, your cognitive function is going to delay, right? And all this actually, I didn't even state this, but all this literally can be put into sports as well, right? So, I mean, let's just use soccer for example, or even football. If your cognitive function isn't there, like if you, even just that as an example, if your cognition really isn't on point, on par that day, you're not going to perform as well, right? Because your reading plays wrong, which is not good on mostly any sport. And, your reaction time might start slowing down. And basically, it's a negative chain reaction. But you can classify both as, and there's a lot more. We can get real in depth on all the scientific stuff behind all that in an actual episode. But I don't think we fully need to get into the scientific basis of it. Your cognition will decline, right? Your decision making, for those who don't know what exactly cognition details, your reaction time is definitely going to be slower. And lost my train of thought, but those are two really big ones, right? Especially in the gaming world. Do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, like I said, I don't really play video games. I don't play any sort of sport. So really, the only thing I can compare
Typical.
it to is work. When I'm stressed out, I don't always make the best decisions. So, sometimes when I just take that couple minutes to clear my head, I come back and I look at something with like fresh eyes. If I'm working on a project too long, you can just kind of get bogged down. So it's always good to just kind of walk away and then come back and take a look at it again.
Yeah, I do want to add to that because you just sparked something. But what stress can induce, right? I wouldn't say induce, really. What stress can cause, and there are studies on this as well, is it can cause depression and anxiety. And, of course, on the side of stress will be irritation and anger, right? So if you are irritated or angry, you're going to make decisions that you probably wouldn't if you were actually in the right mind and you were, level-headed. And depression and anxiety will affect virtually everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'll affect your cognition for sure, your ability to think straight, your ability to make the correct decision, your ability to make some decisions in general. You might just go back and forth too often. If you're playing a game or playing a sport and you think one thing and you think another thing instantly, which can happen, and now you're combating yourself, you literally had only that split second to make that decision. That could make or break that play, a goal, a field goal, a whatever else in sports, or a round, or a game, right? So you want to try to avoid stress just because of the chain reaction. So doing these little tips here and there, I mean, it's not a miracle worker, right?
Yeah. It's not like we're, just sitting here stress-free all the time. It's just really
and you
just
can go relieve.
Understanding how to manage stress. Like recognizing that like everybody gets stressed at least probably at some point every day. It's just really like recognizing how to manage it throughout the day so then it doesn't like spiral and you don't continue to go to bed stressed out and then you get poor sleep and then the next day you're stressed because you didn't sleep well and then now you're aggravated at work and then it's just kind of like a vicious cycle. So recognizing like small tips how to help yourself throughout the day so then you don't have that spiral or like snowball effect.
Yes. Very, very true. Now I think that wraps up that question. I think we went
I think so.
into pretty good detail on how it affects both because, I mean, you can really look at gamers as athletes, even if they're playing socially. I mean, there are social athletes too. So you can put all those tips really into consideration that we said about that. And that's, I mean, to try to help lower it again, it's not going to magically take your stress away. It could really relieve stress for a couple minutes, but it's a couple minutes more than you had. And if you keep doing it, I mean, and you keep working on focusing on your health and wellness, your fitness, your nutrition, it will start to level out your hormones and everything, and the stress will start to really alleviate itself because your body's regulating itself, and your mind is going to be where it needs to be, which will, if it starts veering off into the stress lane, it'll start correcting it, and so.
Yep.
I think that's going to. We didn't get any more questions. For those who couldn't see that, I just pointed at the wife here for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
And that wraps up the questions because we did not get any more. If there are anybody else who has questions, you can, or if you have them after we finish the podcast anyway, you can post them on any of our social media. But I am going to add something to what we might not have added. I don't think we said this in the podcast. Another tip that I remembered and I thought was pretty important. I was told, and I mean, there are articles on this, many. I've heard this from many different people. One way to relieve or try to avoid stress, which your stress and your cortisol, I said in the last episode, is lowest right when you wake up, is avoid using the phone right off the bat. So don't use your phone within maybe let's say just the whole time you're getting ready, right? And then let's say that's just the first half an hour, 45 minutes you're up. Just don't use your phone. Because chances are if you use your phone, you're going to see a notification. It might be a social media notification. You can open up social media or any kind of media. You can open up we'll start with this. You can open up social media and there's a negative news report, right? Because that's all that's in the media. Or you're going to see that direct media, headline that's just a negative headline. And now you're starting off your day with negative news, with, negativity, and that instantly turns the brain to, like negative mode, and then sparks the cortisol because now you're getting antsy because this negative news that you're reading. So try to avoid the phone at the beginning and, just go about your day. That will really start you off on the good track, which will hopefully carry into the rest of the day to keep you, less stressed.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I mean, I can, and I'm sure you can probably tell,
TV is actually part of that, too. I didn't say that, but TV has media all over the place, so maybe avoid the TV as well.
Yeah.
Electronics.
But,
shut the power off to your house. Okay, go.
my God. So, the days that I look at my phone as soon as I wake up and, start working, there are times where I literally, sit there, and before I'm even out of bed, I'm looking at emails, I'm answering text messages or chats or whatever. And then, as I'm getting ready, I'm, working. And it's, then I'm, answering people. I'm answering phone calls. I'm, doing all this stuff. So then I come downstairs and I'm, in a rush because now it took me longer to get ready because I was working instead of just focusing on getting ready. And so then I now am aggravated at him because he didn't get my lunch ready fast enough or my coffee or something, just something. So I definitely find myself less stressed if I just, it's only going to take me 30 minutes to get ready. Just get ready, take 30 minutes, and then start answering your phone call and your emails and your things when you get to work. And what sometimes I still haven't figured out is that I'll actually get to work faster and be more productive if I don't start working the second I wake up. So
Seriously, true story. She does get mad at me for that. Also, takes me an hour and a half to get ready for my day job.
Yes, right.
If you're wondering, so it makes it much harder for me. But no, that's definitely a avoiding the there's just so much negativity, but just ignoring, and it the technology just right off the bat is a very good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I fall into the habit of checking my phone instantly when I wake up sometimes, but I also am very
But
good
he
at
never
looking
checks
at
it
the
if I
phone.
lock myself out of the house and I'm like, please help me, let me in. He
I'm
doesn't
talking
check
when
it
I
then.
wake up, not when I'm still sleeping. So I keep my phone silented. I don't even have a phone, so I don't even know why we're talking about this. My phone's one of those play phones that tells me the numbers and sings songs to me and says the dog is blue and the bird
And the cat goes,
chirps.
meow.
And the cat goes meow. That's my phone, okay? And I don't have any service on it ever. I can't figure out why. But the service provider,
I just was gonna say something else and then you made me forget.
perfect.
Okay.
Was it in regards to the actual episode or was it about the phone?
It was in regards to the episode, you dweeb.
Dweeb.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, if you remember it, we'll post it on social media at some point in our lives. And, I mean, that was the last tip that I remembered that I wanted to, say because it's a very important one because,
Oh, wait, I remember.
oh,
Okay.
nice.
Same thing goes for, like, before you go to bed. So, like, trying to cut, phone usage maybe at least, like, 30 minutes before you go to bed. So I know if I lay in there, like, if I lay in bed and I browse social media before I go to bed, it takes me so much longer to fall asleep because, like, now, like, every time you look at your phone, you kind of, or, like, a TV or something, you restart the clock of, like, having you mentally wind down. So like, I was on my phone all, like, last night and then I was up until, like, past midnight. So it's like just because I couldn't get my brain to shut down. So really trying to, like, have an end point. So, like, we have an eating end point. So, like, we don't eat past, like, 8 o'clock. So it's like, just, okay, well, you don't eat past 8 o'clock, like, no electronics past, like, 9 or something, just so you can start mentally winding down. So maybe read a book, talk to your significant other, do something else instead of always using your electronics.
Yeah, before bed is also very important because
Yeah.
the electronics will keep your brain active, like she has stated. So also stress you out, but prevent you from sleeping well or going to sleep quickly and sleeping well. So
Okay, that was it.
perfect. Avoid the technology. On that note, we are going to wrap up this episode. We will be back next week. Again, I didn't look at the date. The 13th, January 13th at 7:30 p.m. on YouTube and Twitch. We'll be live with another episode. This week I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's a secret. It's not because I don't know. It's because it's a secret. Anyways, you can catch us there. Links will be in the description if you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast platforms. And if you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, it'll be right here. And my name is Hallucinodream or Austin J. I said that backwards. All my links will be in the description as well, or they posted anywhere on the One Punch channels. Over here, or to my left, is my lovely wife and co-host. Again, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Yes. And her social media is non-existent because I stole it. And we will be back next week. So if anybody has any more questions, you can message us. You can send us a message on any of social media. Send us a comment on YouTube. And, we will answer it in another video or a social media post. Or, no, we will answer it.
Yeah,
Not
we'll
never.
answer.
Maybe a couple days before never. But we will answer it, I promise. And go from there. But we will see you guys hopefully next week for the next episode. And thank you for those who have tuned in. And
That's
see
it.
ya.
Bye.